Because the thing with reactive abuse is you really are changing. Like, you really go from being a person that has a slow fuse to a person that reacts like that. And when you react, you're not yourself. So when you come out of that state of reactive abuse, you look back and you're like, what did I do? What did I say? And it's so quick and easy to start blaming self and to start looking at yourself as if you are the problem. Now, I'm not condoning what happens during reactive abuse, but let's really understand what's going on. So in order to understand it, let's start with the beginning of a relationship with a narcissist. Narcissists do not look for explosive people. They do not look for people that are combative, that have a low fuse. No, that's them, right? They look for somebody that's willing to tolerate their explosive personality. So basically, they look for somebody that is stuck in a fawn trauma response. Somebody that suppresses self, suppresses their needs, their wants, their personality, their perspectives in order to make somebody else happy so that they can feel safe. Now, by the way, if you are someone that's stuck in a fawn response, there's no shame in this, because a fawn trauma response is created in childhood. Normally, narcissists look for people that have unhealed wounds, unhealed childhood wounds. When something happens, our body wants to fight or get out of there. When you can't do that, your body moves into more of a shutdown or a fawn response. I know with myself, I didn't know that I was stuck in a fawn response. I thought the characteristics, or I don't even want to use that word, I thought that the coping skills that come with a fawn response, I thought that was my personality. I thought that I was a people pleaser. I put other people's needs before my own. I struggled with boundaries. I felt uncomfortable when people were upset or angry. I didn't realize that those personality traits were actually symptoms of a chronic stuck fawn response. I didn't know that, but malignant narcissists can spot that in people. And so they love to latch on to your childhood wounds, because somebody stuck in a fawn response is going to work really, really hard to try to make the narcissist happy, because in that trauma response, the goal of being in the fawn response is, if I can make you happy, then that creates connection between me and you and a measure of safety. This is the very reason, fawning is the very reason what we wind up tolerating so much from narcissists, especially when we don't know that we're in a fawn response. Okay, so what does this have to do with reactive abuse? Well, narcissists spot you as somebody that is willing to tolerate them, somebody that's in a fawn response. They may not have the words for it, but they can tell that you suppress you to make them happy. Then you're in a relationship with them. But after a while, that doesn't work for them. So once they rope you in because you were stuck in a fawn response and that served their purpose, right? Then it starts to get imbalanced. They start using you as an emotional regulator, and now they want you to carry the aggressive emotions that are causing them to look bad. So what happens is, when they're angry and they don't want to be, they will provoke you. And when you're stuck in a fawn response, if you're anything like me, you probably had a really big tolerance in the beginning. You probably could tolerate a lot before eventually you exploded, because you're human. And you could only take so much until it became too much for you to handle. And when it became too much for you to handle, again, what narcissists are doing is they're really working with your nervous system and your trauma responses. So when it became too much, where fawning was no longer allowing you to feel safe, right? To make them happy so that you can have connection and safety. That wasn't working anymore, so your nervous system's like, we're gonna try this, and now we're going to fight. So maybe the first time you probably surprised yourself when you fell into reactive abuse. Maybe you exploded, maybe you threw something. Maybe you said things that you never would have normally said. And the interesting thing that happens is that when you start acting like that, now the narcissist sees themselves in you and they relax. And what happens in you each time you explode and they relax is this is creating an overcoupling in your nervous system, where you exploding is now coupled together and locked in your nervous system with a positive reward, with a meaning that now that's a positive. Exploding is a positive, because when you explode, the narcissist lets up on abuse and it feels good to the nervous system. Again, all of this is happening on a subconscious level. You're not even realizing what's going on underneath. So again, the first thing they do to start getting you to think you're the problem is they start changing you by provoking you into reactive abuse. Even you can see that you're different. And so they use that against you. Like, you used to be so calm, you used to be like this, and now look at you. And of course they delete all the reasons why, and they put the focus on your behavior.